Hey, I'm Jamie Dowd with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, Wildlife Resources Division. Today we're here to talk about how to clean a squirrel quickly and efficiently. After you have harvested your squirrel, you're going to need two tools, a pair of game shears and a pair of good quality stainless steel catfish skinners. First, after we have stretched the squirrel where he's easier to work with, we're going to remove the feet. Removing all 4 feet, just above the ankles, what I would call the ankle. So here we have the squirrel without its feet. Next important step is we want to cut through just through the hide, not into the muscle. So we're cut just through the hide. You can see the hide right there, not into the muscle. So we're going to go all the way around the squirrel, all the way around the neck, and then we'll look and see if we've gotten it all the way around. Some of this loose hair we want to try to keep back. Here's a little spot that's not cut through all the way. One of the reasons that I prefer to use this method is because I can use tools to do it with, and it's not so dependent on my hands as much, and it tends to be less hair on the animal after you're finished. Of course, you're going to rinse your game very well when you're done and possibly soak them in salt water or something, but it's nice to start off with it not quite as hairy. Okay, so now we're going to try to remove the hide. You don't want to try to remove all the hide at one time. You'll work your way around, taking care not to pull too hard on the shoulders. Once you get past the shoulders, it's typically removes fairly easy. There are other methods of cleaning squirrels, obviously. Other methods include, cutting through the tail and stepping on the tail or putting it in a device where it holds the tail. Growing up, we always just used to slit them in the back and pull the hide apart and strain. That typically, you get a lot of hair on your game that way. Okay, here's a neat little step, I guess. When you get to the tail, of course you can just cut it off, but lots of times kids if they've shot their first squirrel or something, they want to keep the hide. So you can actually just put your skinners right above the hide. You don't squeeze, you just keep it firm against the tail and you just pull it off. It comes right off. So there you have your squirrel hide with tail intact. A lot of people like to use the tails for tying flies or what have you. So our next step would be to remove the head. Obviously that would be right above the shoulders or below the fur line. All right, so the next step is to quarter the squirrel. Actually with the shoulder, you can just lie your blade, your shears, right up against the body and separate the shoulder. Like so. And there you have the shoulder. We'll do the same thing on the other side, removing the shoulder from the body. Next, you'll see I'll cut right where the quarter comes into the body. You'll get down to the joint and you'll just cut right through there. So we're removing the hind quarter. The other side, we're coming in from the rear of the animal, right up next to the tail. We cut through the hip joint, and then so you're left with a squirrel, just a torso. Typically on male squirrels, they tend to have, depending on the age of the squirrel, they'll have some large glands back here. I like to remove those. So basically you're just removing the pelvic area here. Our next step, we're going to remove the back from the torso. To remove the back from the torso, I'll insert my blade into the pelvic girdle and just kind of trim right along the back on both sides. And then that way there's no entrails that you actually have to deal with. So that shows that you've just got the back there. So I've cut here, right? So you can come all the way up to below the, I guess where the throat area would be. There you go. Okay, so now that you've got your squirrel cleaned and quartered up, you want to take it indoors or to a spigot somewhere, rinse it real well. And I like to soak my squirrels or wild game, small game, in some salt water overnight in the refrigerator. Helps remove a lot of the blood, maybe take some of the gamey taste out of it. So you're left with a back strap or a back of a squirrel and the 4 quarters, the hinds and the fronts.